Hello, 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 and welcome to the Money Doesn't Grow on Trees interview series. I honestly don't know why the first time I'm wearing my glasses, but sometimes I want to feel like I'm smart. So I'm just going to rock with it today. So anyway, my name is Jamaal Solomon. I am the CEO and founder of J.S. Tax Corporation. I'm also an agent with Allstate Insurance. I got a youth financial literacy organization that I started, PTA, this, that. If this is not your first video, you know that I think I do too much stuff and maybe I need some help. But anyway, today, this interview, I just want to open you up to my network because I always feel blessed, and I say this every video, to have a great inner network that I could just talk about anything, no matter what the topic is. And I just want to just expose y'all to this, to my network. We're not gonna talk out for hours, it's gonna be quick, and we're gonna learn something today. And today, this is gonna be our first, guys. So I know this is gonna be a little awkward, but A, he's not gonna show his face, and B, we're not gonna talk about his name. So we're just gonna call him Serious Jest. Maybe I'll call him SJ just to be a jerk. But do know this: A, if I have a guest on my interview series, that person is extremely knowledgeable and is on point and is doing a lot of stuff. But sometimes people, due to the nature of their job, they can't show themselves and stuff like that. But the information that, Serious Jess is going to drop on us is going to be incredible. And we're going to talk about, basically how to look for a great lawyer. Because especially if you're entrepreneurship, it may be a come a time that you're going to need a lawyer, just like how you should interview your tax accountant or whoever's doing your marketing and branding. You got to do the same thing for your lawyer, because some lawyers just don't give an F about you, and you just might be a number. Or some lawyers might not even know what the hell they're talking about, because all their career they've just been doing criminal, but you're trying to come up with corporate law, but they just want to take your money. How do you interview them? And that's what we're going to talk about today with Serious Jess. Do you even do an intro? Like, how does this work?
Yeah, serious. So Serious Jest here. I'm using, this isn't like a made up name. This is my online personality. I do a lot of like comedy podcasts, so I don't like to mix the two worlds. But I'm also an attorney in my regular job. So good to rock with you, good brother. On this forum. Thank you for inviting me. I like the glasses. I feel like you're ready to jump in that phone booth and become Superman.
And it's red. It's red.
It's dope. It's dope. I like the style. So yeah, I guess should we start getting into it? What
Yeah,
are
so
the
like I
first...
said, I got trust issues. I don't trust people, and especially professionals. And I think it's unfair, but I think naturally I just walk into a law office and think you're trying to get me. Not for no particular reason. It's just like, damn, these damn lawyers, they trying to get me. They always, trying to sue people. And so I think I already come in with the wrong attitude. So what type of attitude you think I need to come up with?
No, well, so it's funny because you come from a profession that you understand what the words fiduciary duty mean,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, and y'all go through the same thing, right? So there is we ironically, people don't trust lawyers, but we also have the greatest duty amongst professions. We're right up there as far as we actually have legally obligated trust. So you should know that if somebody agrees to be your attorney, they owe you a duty, a fiduciary duty, to always do things in your best interest. If an outside person comes in and determines that they're acting in their own selfish interests or putting their interests above yours, we could get a lot of trouble over that. You could lose your license. I mean, there's all kinds of penalties that could apply. So yes, keep one eye open, because that doesn't stop the unscrupulous from doing the things that they're not supposed to do. But also understand that there is a very jealously guarded duty that they must do things in your best interest.
Because it's like with taxes and accounting, because I'm not a CPA, I'm an enrolled agent. That basically means I can represent anybody from the IRS in any state tax department. That's a little humble brag. But here's the deal.
Nice.
Most general people, all they know is CPA. If you're not a CPA, you don't know what the hell you're talking about in life. But that doesn't, and I always got to tell people, CPA doesn't really mean that you know a lot about taxes. It just meant that particular time in your life, you passed that one part that has something to do with taxes. that one little part. So if you've been doing your CPA for 20, 30 years and you never did taxes, just because you're a CPA doesn't mean that that person is right for your particular business. And it's kind of frustrating because a lot of people kind of don't, they kind of don't understand that. And they're like, nah, CPA. I'm like, all right, what is a CPA? What does that mean? And stuff like that. So it's just like with lawyers, I think some people just think, and I'm guilty with this because I do this with serious judges. I'm like, yo, you can't talk about business law. Why? What's up? Did you go to law school? But since you passed the bar, it doesn't necessarily mean that that person, if is the best person to talk about what's the best business entity and legal structure for your business and stuff like that. So how can you get past that and say and interview that person, let them know whether or not they have the necessary skills to help you?
So this actually kind of nicely transitions from the last thing we said, because so there's a fiduciary duty existing between your lawyer and always acting in your best interest, except when you sign the original contract, which we refer to as the retainer. That's the one time your attorney doesn't represent you. That's the one time that if you were doing it, if you had unlimited money, you take your retainer contract for the lawyer you're going to hire for the thing you're going to hire for, you bring it to the other lawyer who reviews it, who reviews it for the deal between you and him. But that's the one contract you should scrutinize deeply. That sets the rules between you and your lawyer. And that's why when you give somebody a retainer agreement, you're supposed to make that clear to them. I don't represent you in this contract. You need to read this independently. And you need to, take this to, if you have questions, you need to take this to somebody who will give you an honest assessment, who's not biased.
So you telling me I need to have a lawyer to review my freaking retainer for another lawyer? That's what it kind of sounds like.
That never happens in real life, right? Like, no, you're not going to.
Yeah, my money ain't that long. It's not that long, yeah.
Yeah, but so what you do instead is maybe you do a careful reading of the contract, and you can have the conversation with the lawyer. They should be straight up with you. You should ask them direct questions, and have stuff referred to in writing. Because again, it's the writing is going to determine down the line if there's any kind of dispute. So you look out for things like, in the contract, is there like a minimum time that you're being charged, right? So for instance, I mean, when I used to, I don't do private practice anymore, but when I did and I was billing people, right? Like if you call me while I'm doing some work, I stop, I put down my work, I got to think about your thing, and then I got to write adequate notes to preserve what we're talking about, whatever it is. Like I'm not going to be billing people at 30-second intervals, right? We're going to have to figure out an acceptable minimum time where I cut it off, because I also don't want my billing to be crazy. So like some lawyers will use as little as 3 minutes. They do that when you're dealing with like clients that have low volume, that that $100 may make or break them. So they'll go down as low as like 3 minutes. Sometimes I've seen 6 be the standard. It could even be up to 15 minutes if you agree to it. So
I need to do that in my practice, because clients just be like hitting me with like all types of miscellaneous stuff. It stops my whole day. Yeah, I need to build them.
And that might be what they. Well, that might be what they. Well, so remember, if it's in the contract, the minimum billing or whatever, that you can look out for, like, oh, they took 30 seconds. 30 seconds equals 3 minutes. Like you're in for 30. So you just got to be careful. They got to know that, you got to know that if it's in your contract that there's like a minimum billing cycle, time that they're using, that if you call the lawyer for 30 seconds, technically you're on the hook for all 3 or 6 minutes or whatever it is that you've taken up. So you got to be judicious with how much you call. Now, so
use it wisely. Don't ask me no dumb ish, basically.
But that being said, right, you also got to look for who's nickel and diming you, right? Because your lawyer, come on, like you pick up the phone for 30 seconds and say, hey, whatever, and put it down, and it's not even substantive, you shouldn't be getting charged for that too. Billing is a whole thing, is a whole fun.
And you know what? I try to tell people, like either my clients or people, when I talk in front of people, I always believe that all your professionals should work as a team. Like your investment advisor, financial advisor, your tax accountant, if you have a lawyer, or estate plan or whatever, you should find a way to get them on the same page. I think a lot of times people get in trouble because they try to separate all those guys. Because at the end of the day, you want to have your own team to work for you. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be as complex as that they need to be on your payroll or anything like that. Simply just have them maybe review each other. Simply let them know about each other, include them in the same email, because sometimes a lawyer might suggest something because I had a case that I don't know why they went to this lawyer, but this lawyer made a horrible tax suggestion that it was just horrible. I'm not even getting into it. It was just horrible. Now, if the person would have maybe let the tax accountant see what this person was recommending, they would have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars because a tax accountant would be like, nah, bro, that's not it. Because if you sell that, that's a taxable transaction. So now you stuck with it because the moment you transfer it out, it's a taxable event. So we all got to be on the same page, and that's with legal stuff too, man. So if you're setting up a business, if you have a tax accountant, let your tax accountant know what's up.
You got to know the limits of your expertise as well. Yeah. A lot of lawyers will rely on technical experts for other things. I guess it's helpful for people to know kind of how lawyers are made, because then you can kind of it kind of lets you know how you can evaluate somebody. Remember, before you ever go to law school, you got to have your bachelor's degree, you go to college, right? And this is most circumstances. Like, I know some states have rules about, you could do apprenticeship instead of law school and pass the bar, like what Kim K is doing, right? But the overwhelmingly normal scenario is your lawyer will have at some point gone to college. That college could have been anything, right? I started in political science because I knew I wanted to go to law school, and then I thought, whoa, what do lawyers normally do? And I don't know, political science, why not? Right? And then I experienced some xenophobia / racism, whatever, prejudice from some members of the faculty in my political science department, and it turned me off to the major. I didn't like it anymore, so I switched to business administration. So then I had this, I had some business experience, and I worked in corporate America for a while. I did like internships through Inroads, and then I started, a couple jobs right before I went to law school. So then law school, the first year of law school, that's the tough one. That's the one that you might see in all the different dramatizations of what it is, right? That's where they stand you up. Yeah, they stand
How
you
to
up.
get away with murder. You're murdering people now.
That's the kind of, yeah. So those kind of classes, that's what first year, that's where they grill you, and they teach you the basics of logic and how to apply the law, how to read a case, how to, argue it, what's the important thing, the issues, the holdings, the relevant facts. Those are, procedural history, how to break that down. And that's the most important year for me as far as what law school does for you. That's where they teach you those basics, right? And to me, so law, when everybody talks about, oh, you're using lawyer tricks, you're trying to lawyer me or whatever, right? That's, if you mean using logic, yeah, sure, because that's what law school really centers around, right? Like it's logic. 1 + 1 = 2. Logic is math. And once you learn that skill, that to me is the most crucial skill for any lawyer. The ability I can look up an existing law or read a case to tell me how courts have interpreted it. But, turning around and applying it to the set of facts in front of you and distilling it down to what really matters is the most important skill your lawyer is going to have. You usually pick that up in the first year of law school and hone that. Law school years 2 and 3 are mostly, hey, these are the areas of law that I found I have an interest in. Let me explore it, get taught by a professor who has a specialization in those areas and gives me the current state of the law at the time that I'm in law school. But then, after that, it's really on the job training.
But it's funny that you say, sometimes people make a comment about, are you lawyering me and stuff like that. I feel like, without getting too political and stuff, the media kind of makes us kind of hate y'all guys. Like, so when you get off a murderer or get off someone that we all know is guilty or stuff like that, it's just like a natural hate for lawyers. And like, what, these damn lawyers, if they wasn't so, whatever they do, getting off people, the world would be a better place. So even if it's something that's simple, not simple, a total different topic like business, you just come in with that mindset like, man, these guys are snakes. They get it off murderers and rapists and killers, and but it has nothing to do with what you're doing. And then we just come with that mentality, that attitude, man. And maybe we not even know that it's there, but like even with recent cases, people are getting mad at the lawyer. I'm not gonna say the name because I don't want people coming after me because I'm not that strong, so I can't defend myself in the fight. But people are really hating the lawyer. The lawyer did his job. He won. Do I agree with the outcome? But the lawyer did his job. But people are hating the lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, and often the frustration from people on cases, on legal cases, centers around what they think the result should be. But if you didn't watch the trial, then it's like this latest thing with I'll say it, the Rittenhouse case, right?
Yeah.
And there's some people that are upset that he's found not guilty, and the media is asking, oh, Joe Biden, what do you think about this case? And the first words out of his mouth are, I didn't watch the trial. So if you didn't watch the trial and nobody like sat you down and gave you the relevant things that happen with a legal knowledge of what they mean, then his opinion's really not worth that much in the context of a real evaluation of the law. And then the media is just trying to force the president to say something that's going to piss off one side of the nation or the other side of the nation. Yep. And I don't see the point. And so that's the thing, is like when somebody comes to me and goes, I can't believe this happened in this case. A lot of times, they don't know all the facts. They're reading they're reading an article and they're getting a few characterizations, and that's not always accurate. I will say, I guess my personal experience, and you've seen me interact with other lawyers on this topic, but I think the criminal justice system, if you look at it, just the state of the law, the way it's supposed to work, or the way it was crafted, is if it worked right, and if it wasn't being run by biased people, and if it wasn't being manipulated, then it's solid. There are protections in there, for the most. There are some things that can be adjusted, but mostly we're talking about accounting for its misuse. And that's the problem with anything, right? Like police have discretion built in, that when you look at the legal system and the discretions they have built in, they would work right if police would just be judicious in the way that they use it. But that's the problem, is you give somebody too much power, too much discretion within the system.
Human nature.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it goes really bad, and then you get bad results. So I think the improvements that we can have for the criminal justice system are the ones that will limit the ability of people to have too much latitude to where their personal biases creep in, and they're able to affect how it works out. I didn't watch the Rittenhouse trial, so I won't give an opinion on whether or not he should have been found guilty or not. But from some of the clips I saw about, the concern is about the judge, and the judge stepping in and maybe skewing the system. And that's an area then that you can focus on, is making sure that, fair judges are in place to administer trials. That's also very hard to judge, though, right? Whether a judge was being fair if you don't know the specific facts of the case.
Yeah, and like us, I don't know the law. I don't know whether or not the prosecutors or defendants are really out of line and they deserve that tongue tack lashing. Like, who am I? I don't know. So, but the media would just show that 30-second clip of, I guess, out of a whole month trial, that 30-second clip of him saying that one thing, and now all of a sudden he's his best buddy, he's a racist. That may be true, but we can't all get that from that 30-second clip.
Right.
I mean, but I think also I kind of relate to lawyers because I feel like, and you can say this if I'm wrong, like I don't tell people on vacation I'm a tax accountant, because one time I was on my honeymoon and I made the wrong mistake, because they had one of those tables. It was a couples retreat, so you had to eat with other couples, which I freaking hate. God, I hate that. So we all asking each other. So we had this very, very be political country guy, let's say that had a lot of issues with the country, whatever. And I made a wrong mistake of saying I was an accountant, and he got into me. He was grilling me, and I'm just trying to have dinner. I said, Lord, never again. So I can't imagine if you're on a cruise and you say, even if you're a criminal lawyer, like that's what you do. I can't imagine that, what you got to deal with.
Bro, I've been playing video games before, like on PlayStation, where like, like you playing a shooter with a random person that you just paired up with, and for some reason, I don't know how it came up. I was playing with this guy for like a couple hours on one of these shooter games, and it came. He was like, "What do you do?" And I made the mistake of saying lawyer, and the rest was him throwing his current DUI situation at me to try to get my like advice on it. I'm like, I don't know, bro. I don't know,
Yeah, I'm
But
like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm not the IRS. Why you like ranting me about it? I'm like trying to live my life. That's why I need to charge people 30 seconds. Like, yo, bro, if you want to have this conversation, you know what I mean, let's do this 30-second segment. Here's my PayPal account. Here's my account. Let's make this happen. But anyway, bro, man, I would like to thank you for coming out. But listen, guys, it's kind of awkward because I can't say his real name or what he does. But we're gonna have another interview, and I'm excited about it. We kind of was debating about not what we was gonna do it today or not, because there's a growing industry. Can I say it?
yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I'm fascinated by the cannabis industry. I don't smoke, it is what it is, but I'm very fascinated about the potential, the legal, the tax aspect of it. And I really wanted to talk to somebody that's not going to come here and sell you guys a dream, right? Because Serious Jest, he's not going to sell you a dream. He's going to keep it real. And I think we're going to have a very real conversation about, the industry as whole, where it's heading, where it came from. Don't look for no high level stuff, because that's not what this podcast is about. But it's all going to be about opening your eyes about the potential of this industry, because it's here and it's only going to grow. So at least you should know the minimum of it. And that's going to be our next interview, man.
It's a very unique time in that industry.
Do you want to say what your podcast is, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
and one thing, just before we get there, I just do want to leave your listeners with one thing, because I know if I think where you were going was how do you pick a good lawyer, and I don't want to leave them like not getting answers. I would say, so all of those things that I said about how we're made is to let you know the best way to pick your lawyer is ask directly about experience, right? If recommendations are good, because somebody can say, hey, this person did my divorce, or this person did my closing from me buying my house and stuff like that, and I was comfortable. That'll give you a good idea of what it was like, somebody that worked with that person. But understand that, like Jamaal said, I wanted to call you by your nickname, and I don't know if you go by that on this.
I go by, I don't care. You can call me Sticks, Crypto J, Jamaal J.
So definitely look out for, like, ask them, where's your background in, right? Like, if you can't, like, if your lawyer wasn't an engineer, doesn't have any kind of, then maybe patent law isn't there. That has its own special certifications you should ask for, a patent law. But for your business and stuff, just how many businesses have you serviced? What kind of businesses were they? That kind of thing. Like, is this an area that you're familiar with, or will it require a lot of research, because that could drive up your bill, like that kind of stuff. So those are, just know that all lawyers learn how to apply the law, and then after that it becomes a series of, like, what did you actually study? Where did you get into? What did you look up the laws? Theoretically, I could handle any kind of law most kinds of law for you, right? But there's one kind that would take me a whole lot more to get up to speed in, where in another one I could give you answers off the top of my head, and you probably want me for that last one, not the first one.
Yeah, and that could save you thousands and thousands of dollars in headaches if you just take the time to really ask the questions that you should ask. Just don't go by like, oh, yo, Bob said you the man, let me just holler at you, or I like your website. You got to go a little deeper than that. It's because it's like dating. You just don't want to date a chick because that particular day her hairstyle was good. She could be as crazy as F. You better talk and interview and ask some questions before you commit. So it's the same thing with a lawyer. It's the same thing with an accountant, Brandon. Do your homework on that person. Just don't pick them because they look particularly pretty on that day. So
absolutely. I'm sorry. So it's like, because these things, I don't want to let you go without saying these things. Your bills are negotiable, right? Understand that. The lawyer, we should give you an itemized bill at the end of, when we're ready to charge you. Take a look at the line, see what they worked on. If you have questions about, you should ask that person. Don't just feel like, oh, I'm just stuck on whatever they say. You can have these conversations, and your lawyer shouldn't get upset about it. You should be, okay, you asked me about this, let me explain it to you. That's part of their duty.
It's crazy that you said that, because I always tell people, is there some tax accountants that's going to rush you and the excuses that, yo, it's tax season, I'm busy, boom, boom. They shouldn't rush you. They gotta take that time. If you have a question about your freaking tax return, they need to answer that crap. No matter if you're the slowest person on earth or the fastest person on earth, they got to take the time for you to understand it. Because at the end of the day, you're signing. At the end of the day, when you have a lawyer thing and you sign that retainer, you're saying that you understood everything that's on it, and you can't bitch and complain if something bad happens. So, guys.
Well, you can bitch and complain if you feel like you kind of got abused. Remember, there's still standards, right? So if you see on your bill that this lawyer researched 20 hours, right, and it looks like that was like, oh, well, because he has never done this kind of law before, right? Well, then arguably he should have taken the case, right? Or he should have said, I'm not going to bill you for the time that I took to get up to speed on what I should have had before I accepted your case. So these are things that you can always work out when you look at your bill, and don't be afraid to ask about that or do that. Or if you start to feel like you don't, like you're getting bamboozled, go to another lawyer and ask.
Damn, lawyers stay winning. Like, if I have a problem with a lawyer, I gotta go to another lawyer to see whether or not I'm getting jerked. Damn, I picked the wrong freaking profession, man. It's just ridiculous, man. But yo, man, just give up your podcast. Yeah.
So I do a few different ones. I guess the easy one that you can find me on now is www.livemancave.com. It's Live from the Man Cave is the name of the podcast. Primarily a comedy type broadcast. We drink while we're on the show, so beware. This is like adult kind of flow. We had an episode recently. I think the one that's up right now, our most recent one, is we actually interviewed one of the head regulators and just most knowledgeable people in the country on cannabis. Nice. So if you want to go in and get some good knowledge there, so we do serious subjects sometimes with a comedic twist. And then other times it's just a complete
just drunk.
Well, I mean, yeah, those days, the flat out nasty drunk blackout drunk days, that was the early days of the podcast, where it'd be like the beginning of the show is completely different from the end. You're like, at the beginning of the show, these guys are smart and they're making content. At the end of the show, you're like, these guys are fools. But no, but we don't drink that hard anymore. So like, but yeah, so it's just more like of a laid back flow. Sometimes it's a lot of joking around, but other times we talk about some serious subjects and try to keep a light side to it. So check it out.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put in description. So guys, if you didn't hear what he said exactly, it's gonna be in the description, his information with the podcast and stuff like that, where you can find his podcast.
We gotta get you on.
Huh?
We gotta get you on.
First of all, can I curse?
Oh, absolutely.
I use I love opportunities when a person says I can curse and be ignorant, because I always got this image. So when you say, yo, Jamaal, you could say some things. Yeah, well, say some things.
Again, be careful, man. It's the modern day social media. The problem is somebody hears you on there and then they say something, they hear you say something you don't think is professional, and then they follow you back to like this show where the aim is to be professional. You got to worry about it. And that's, again, this is why I stick with serious jest, and I don't mix the worlds of, in case I say something that they're like, oh, he cursed. I don't want them to be able to look me up on LinkedIn.
But I got so much brands, because with the kids, like I'm a little open on this one because we're adults, but with the kids, obviously I don't talk as reckless as do. But if I'm in a podcast and let's say I'm under, like you said, Crypto J or anything like that, Crypto J is an alter ego. Wild stuff might just come out, because wild stuff is in my head regardless. So sometimes it just needs to come out. So you can't if somebody want to judge me on that and say, oh, he can't talk to the kids, all they gotta do is just look at my other stuff and be like, nah, you just got too much time on your hand and you're trying to find some crap on me right now. So all right, bro, man. So I appreciate you, man. And
same here.
I'm definitely looking forward to the next interview, bro. Have a good one.
Pleasure.
All right, peace.